Hello and welcome back to the Remembering Tuscola webcast. I'm David Porter. I'm here with Mike Carroll and Bill Englehardt. They were misbehaving, so I had to separate them.
Well, not the first time.
Probably won't be the last.
Mike, is your your voice a little gravelly today?
I got the Gahooties.
Got the heebie-jeebies?
Gahooties, I think, is what they doctor called it.
Is
He
that
would have been healthy, but we know who gave it to him.
Yeah. You know, really, when your wife gets real sick, you probably ought to go to the hotel for a couple weeks.
yeah? Well,
Good
your voice
idea.
is lower, a little gravelly. It's she might like that voice better.
Oh, I'm a baritone or bass now.
You
Kind of a
might have
Tom
your
Selleck.
you might have your singing career back.
Well, I won some awards in high school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
John Prine said he liked after he had throat cancer and surgery on his throat, his voice changed dramatically, and
Yeah.
he said he liked his new voice a lot better.
Mine was probably drinking that Drano.
Well, probably if you were.
President said it probably kill COVID, so I tried it.
Mhm.
Hey, David, this little light up here where this camera is on,
That means the camera's on.
I guess. They
Isn't
don't
that,
work well with this sticker on it.
isn't that amazing?
You must have a newer computer. Still had the sticker on the camera.
You buy a new computer, Bill?
No, no, I never did.
Bill
Just leave
got
it plugged in.
distracted.
Who put that over the camera then?
It was from, uh, I guess it was after we got this because we've been doing the show out there for quite a while, but that was because the battery didn't work. It's a long story. Our technical expertise is lacking.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
What what's going on? Anything you want to talk about before we get started here?
Well, beautiful weather. It's like summertime out. I really don't know too much about any news.
Well, we
Been
lost
going to a lot of ball games.
we lost Gary Alexander, not the superintendent, but his father, and
what was
Gary Senior.
what was
Gary
he?
Senior.
What's he, Bill? Class of 69, 68?
Yes, he was a freshman when I was senior.
Yeah.
I always liked him. He's great sense of humor.
Yeah, I like Gary. Too bad. He's younger than us, Bill.
He's younger. Yeah, he's a good boy.
He worked hard, I'll tell you
Oh
that.
man, he worked hard. Yeah, and most times he did it cheerfully too. He
Yeah.
visited with people and everything. He did it the old-fashioned way. He
I'd,
muscled.
I'd catch him outside sometimes. We'd just shoot the breeze.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'd talk. Love to talk with him. Always had a good time. I suppose the last time I saw him, I don't know. No, I've seen him since, but I saw him at, they had a special thing for Becky. The whole family, David, the Alexander family, Mike and I knew them all, and now they're gone.
Well, I coached baseball with Bill. I played baseball, basketball with Eddie. And Gary, I knew he was a good track guy. And Becky was your classmate. Jeannie was, what was she, about
Oldest.
60, 61? Class
She
of,
must have been something like that. Didn't she marry the guy that ran or he worked on the golf course at Oakland? Seemed like Jeannie lived down there at Oakland. She might still be alive though. I don't know.
yeah. And if you knew the dad, you knew the boys.
He was really a swell person, and Mrs. Alexander, she must have been the next thing to sainthood.
Well,
She
I'll tell
had
you
to
what,
be.
look at all those kids. That house isn't very big right there,
Oh no,
south of the Casey's.
Casey Station. Yeah, And then the cleaners was right there,
right next to it.
right next to it.
Big brick building.
Yep.
All right, you guys ready to see some pictures?
We're ready. We reminisce some.
I don't know what year these are, but I think you'll know a lot of them. You always do.
Well,
Chuck
on the
Clarkson,
right, that's Chuck Clarkson.
Chuck Clarkson back in his hippie days.
Yeah, he turned hippie.
This is probably 81 or something. 82. That's
That's a good picture, though, isn't it?
yeah.
John Fry thinks on the left might be Jim Little.
I don't I
That
don't
doesn't look like Jim to me.
look like
And
Jim.
I wouldn't know.
doesn't look a lot like Chuck. I
Well,
mean,
he wasn't sure.
Yeah, Jim worked out there.
yeah. A lot of guys worked out there.
That's Fred Ross on the right. I don't know
And
who's
that's Mick Mosley on the left from Atwood, class of
Garrett.
66.
Garrett Mosley's.
Yeah.
Well, Tim Hole says Jim Mosley.
Well, Jim, we called him Mick.
We called him Mick. Nicknames.
Yeah. Yeah, he was 66.
Those
Played
Mosleys,
ball. He played basketball.
those Mosleys were tough hombres.
Yeah.
My
Fred
cat-
Fred was really a wonderful person. Fred Ross, I remember when he got out of the Navy. Virgil and Mary Ross were his parents. Sister Carolyn.
married Gayla Grubb,
Oh yeah.
Tom's sister.
Yep. Well, on the far left, that's Bobby Slaughter. And on the far right, that's Stroll boy. And right now, off the
How
top
about the far? How about the far middle?
far middle, I can't, you know what? I should know the middle. I think that's the Stroll kid on the right, and he ran cross country for me, and I can't think of his first name.
Dan.
Dan Stroll. There you go.
I
We
think the one in the middle is Ed Brannick.
Yeah, we used to call him Mick, didn't we, Bill?
Back in the day,
Yeah, they were all Mick.
we called everybody Mick.
Tex or Mick?
Mick Melton.
Mickey Melton.
Bobby on the left is in my class, and Ed was a little older. I don't know about the Stroll guy.
Stroll was in the 80s, a little after you.
Well, I'm thinking if
I think these are early 80s here, David, I think.
well, Bob's same age as I am, and we would have started high school in 1979, so I suppose he could be a freshman here. Freshman,
Possibly.
yeah, because I don't know what year these are.
Is that one of the Easton boys serving?
Rudy says he thinks it's E.J. Easton.
Yeah. Ellery's boy had the twins. Ellery and Mert Easton's son.
In the
Lived out there. Did they live at Chicken Bristle?
Yeah. Out before you got to the bridge.
Yeah, before they came into town.
Mm-hmm.
applesauce.
Yeah.
That's the high school cafeteria. Well, it used to be the cafeteria,
Yeah.
part of the theater now. Same event. And another one. I don't have any comments on those. I'm surprised I don't have any comments on these.
Uh,
On this,
the girl.
the first girl on the left, I know who it is, and I can't tell you her name.
Well, she's a shoemaker. It's Alan Shoemaker.
That's what I was thinking. Was a shoemaker.
And then the next girl.
And that looks
That
like
looks like Carolyn Waters to me.
And it looks like Easton behind the shoemaker girl. And then
I think you're right.
the boy between the two girls, I should know his name too. But maybe somebody will come along and identify them all. It looks like
Cooking out at the high school. We didn't have many cookouts at the high school.
No, Bucko wouldn't let us.
Nope.
this is probably an FFA cookout.
We did have, Mike can tell you more. We had, if we won the Okaw Valley tournament, we had, was it milkshakes or ice cream, Mike?
No, we went to Miller's Dairy in Monticello every year. We went there my sophomore year when we won the Okaw in football, and my senior year.
They came to the high school.
Well, they came with banana splits in basketball to the high
Yeah,
school.
that was it. Banana
In
splits.
football, we went up there in the evening, and they weighed you, and you had a steak, a big steak, and they gave you a quart of chocolate milk and a quart of white milk, big baked potato, huge feed, and they weighed you afterwards for a winner. And Pete Green gained the most weight. There's Kingery. Is that Kingery on the left?
That's Raymond Kingery.
Yeah. Did he still? These are all out of the same envelope. Did he still have the long sideburns by 1980?
Well, they disappeared about around that time.
Yeah, it's more of a 70s look.
Some
And
people,
that looks like the pharmacy in the background.
some people hung on a long time.
That that building downtown where the pharmacy was.
I think this is the elevator, Fullerton elevator fire.
That's what it was.
Okay.
Mike and I sat over by the post office and watched that.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I think Chris Hill had a whole bunch of antique furniture inside it, and it was Clark Fullerton's old elevator.
What year was that fire?
Oh,
Andrea, do you remember?
Would you say 79, Bill? 80?
What year was Clark Fullerton's elevator burned down? We went over and sat at the post office in the car and watched it. Mike and Ann.
I don't know the year.
No, she doesn't remember.
You remember what year the fire was that destroyed the second story of the pharmacy building?
I'd say that was the early 70s, wasn't it? Mid 70s, early 70s.
Because in this picture, you can see the building and the second story is not there. So it would have been after that.
Early 70s. Yeah, there's the elevator. Or I should say, that's what happens to an elevator when you add fire to it. That was a good fire.
The fireman, it looks kind of
that
big
guy,
there. That looks like Lytle to me.
That is Mr. Lytle, I think, and maybe Wilhelm on the ground. I don't know.
Possibly.
Steve Connor said he thought the one standing looked like his dad Hop, but
no.
That's Mr. Lytle, I think.
That's Lytle. Now that you went in close, it is Lytle.
Okay. Now, is this that same fire? Rudy thought it might be the Hayes elevator. Do you think that's the Fullerton?
I think so, because those are Tuscola.
We believe it's Fullerton.
Tuscola firemen.
Yeah, I don't know about. Do you recognize the house?
Well, I'm looking at what direction they're going.
Well, so there was a house there that would be looking south at the Hayes elevator, if that's a Hayes elevator.
Well, I thought it was the Hayes elevator.
Well, would they both burned in the same month or the same year?
The same night, everything burned.
Yeah, they had a firebug working there.
All right, let's start some rumors here.
Well, sure, that's how information is.
Well, here's another fire.
Well, that was the same firebug.
That might be at Ficklin.
Well, these might not all be the same month then. They're all in the same envelope.
Well,
Well,
USI never stored anything at Hayes that I knew of. They might have stored something at Ficklin.
Yeah. What's this sign say?
warning,
Clarence, the train, something to do with it. It was close to the tracks.
Bill,
You know,
did you?
the firemen today have their names on the back.
Yeah, there's Dietrich on the left. I think
See the guy in the middle? That's Mike Payne, I'll bet.
smoking a cigar.
Smoking something. Yeah, that's might be Payne.
Hey, Bill, did you ever? I ate
Hard to
out there
tell.
they had a restaurant in Ficklin right across from Jail Allen. Moore was it?
Yes.
Well, Denny had a white helmet, didn't he?
Well, I think he did. Um, I think after they made him, I don't know if he was chief then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got us confused on all the fires.
Yeah, there's all kinds of fires in this one. That envelope also had a lot of negatives with a fatal accident. I did not include any of those.
Oh, those I was state's attorney then. I could have identified it.
Yeah, I'm sure you could have, but not sure we want to show dead bodies on our.
No, it's not. It's not nice. There's Bill Huber selling some farmland.
Paige Harris
Page,
standing behind him.
Page Harris right behind him. And let's see who's all sitting there. There's Bud Rice over by the doors.
Yeah, Bud's
I
trying
think
to sell something.
I think next to him is John Connerty with shades on.
You might be right.
Mm.
And sitting on the seats is Hartman, I think.
Well, probably farmland, like I said. I recognize Bill right away. Of course, he's unmistakable.
Yep.
Rudy Huber says Paige Harris left of Dad, Dave Lecker in the door with shades is what says that's Dave Lecker.
No,
John Connerty.
Dave Lecker's a lot taller.
I don't think Dave ever wore shades.
I think Mike's right. That might be Connerty.
He was in banking, farm management. Bud was always dinking around with farmland. They're all wanting to see if the price is headed the other way.
Well, Becky Barnes Hollinsby says she thinks the one talking to the one in shades is Uncle Bud.
Bud Rice.
Bud Rice.
She's right.
Her husband's probably there somewhere. We just can't see him.
Another fire
That
picture.
looks like a fire.
Yeah, probably one of the same fires.
Yeah.
I think that's the elevator. Fullerton's.
Yeah, this looks like it.
Look at those transformers there. So it had to be.
Now, this next picture, I don't think either one of you guys will get this next picture at all. I think it'll stump you.
Probably you. Dave Porter. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Batman and Robin.
That's F.H. Jones Lumber Company. In their youthful days, that's Alan Mitchner on the left.
High school nickname was Melvin.
And Steve Hilgendorf on the right.
I recognize the room they're in.
That's the office.
That's
a review, isn't it?
That's Bob Hastings' office.
That's Bob Hastings' office.
Yeah. The ambulance thing up there on the wall.
This is the office that I sat in when I got my first job.
Bob didn't sit there.
No, I was talking to Bob. Bob gave me the job. This was not my office. I was just where I was when I got my first job. And it hasn't changed much since then.
Oh,
That paneling is still there.
That's the world's best paneling. It's lasted about 80 years.
Well, It was 40 years ago 40 or 41 years ago when I started working.
Governor Jim Thompson, Pee Wee Cunningham.
That John Hirschfield on the right.
Yes, it is. Big tie. Look at that tie, Mike.
Yeah. He's still in the news. His kids are fighting his second wife over the estate.
Yeah, the estate's not good, is it?
I
No,
don't know if this is state fair or county fair.
probably county.
There they've
There's
got a booth set up, the
there's Chop,
Republicans.
there's Chop Edmondson stand up with a striped shirt, and then there's Ralph Allen down below with Wanda,
Yep.
and they're over to the right with glasses and a white shirt is Heine Schultz,
Mm-hmm.
Bourbon.
And of course,
Chubb was regional superintendent of schools then.
Yep.
of course, you got Pee Wee Cunningham standing in front of the pictures.
Right.
There's a Hastings.
Tracy.
I don't think that's Tracy.
You don't?
No, it doesn't look like that's in the review office.
It looks like a little bit. Just thought it was Tracy.
I do too. The hair's classic Tracy. I don't know. The smile's a little different. Could have been
Well,
Craig. Could have been Craig's first wife. She worked there in the office in the 70s.
it's I think Tracy's hair was lighter, and I don't think that's Tracy. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's Tracy.
Yeah. Well, nobody says anything?
Mm-mm. Nope. It looks like a Rolleiflex on the table.
Yeah. Bob Boyce carried a rollie.
Some kind of twin lens reflex camera. There's Jack Allen.
Yeah. And there's uh, Pete
Oh, that's Cunningham.
Cunningham.
Yeah, Pete Cunningham. I can't
Jack,
tell who the other two fellows are.
1979, Jack would have been the county clerk of Douglas County.
Wasn't a very good negative, but I didn't want to leave Jack out. There's Pee Wee.
Governor's Day.
So I wonder if this was the state fair since today's host is Douglas County.
Might be.
I bet this was over in Springfield.
We might have had to shut down the county that day.
Well, I was still in the courthouse. I didn't go over. Bill, you probably coached all these girls in basketball.
I'm guessing they're varsity of something.
Cheerleaders.
Yeah. I do
I
have
was never the cheerleading sponsor.
Well, that was probably the best job in school.
Might have been. Might have been. No, I'm sorry. I don't recognize the young ladies.
well, Sherry Fleming says doesn't give last names. Tammy, then herself, Tina, Andrea, and Linda.
Who did that? Sherry Stewart?
Sherry Fleming.
Oh, Sherry Fleming. Buck Hausman's sister lives over in Atwood.
Um,
Well, her mom was a
yeah, she
cheerleader.
tagged Todd Hausman, then says Tammy, me, Tina, Andrea, and Linda.
Hold on again. Andrea, who was named Andrea? Linda.
Well, Andrea Harsha is tagged.
Linda Hawkins, but
Linda Pancall is Scribner is tagged. And Tina Romine is tagged.
You know, Sherry's mother, Charlotte.
Oh, that's Tina Cleland, isn't it?
Yeah,
On the far right.
Sherry's mother,
Yeah.
Charlotte.
So
Charlotte had
if that's Linda Pancall, that'd be the one on the back right and standing.
right.
Mm.
Yeah, I got a story on Sherry. Her mom was a cheerleader, 1960. Wellborn was her name, and she married Frank Hausman, one of the Hausman brothers. And so I'm talking to my bailiff one day in court. Bill Kleiss is married to Charlotte, and we get talking about the cheerleaders back in '60. And I said, man, they were all beautiful blondes. There was Kitty Quiche, Carolyn Jackson, who just passed away, Mary Jane Jackson, her sister, Janet Abney. I said, who was that final blonde? And he said, darned if I know. So he went home at noon. He came back and said, boy, I got in trouble. I go, why is that? He says, the final cheerleader was Charlotte, my wife. Didn't even know it. Remember those cheerleaders back then, Bill?
Yeah, I do.
They were they were
I
pretty.
married a
Pretty
cheerleader
girls.
too.
You what?
I married a cheerleader. She points out she was only a cheerleader 1 year, but
Oh,
hey, that's all it takes.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, Becky was a cheerleader. Won the Paris Holiday Tournament trophy
By herself.
herself. Well, looks like a tractor pulling contest.
I don't know who's driving the tractor though.
No, he's got a farmer hat on.
Rudy says John Carmack.
Could be.
This group of pictures was from over at Newman.
Yeah, old-fashioned days, maybe. Tractor.
Well, I don't know what they called their festival, but
They always have a festival at Newman, don't they?
Rudy knows all these guys.
Well, who's this guy?
Bobby Reed, he says.
Oh, Bob Reed from Newman, yeah.
He's
Bob
reaching.
Reed had a nice Ford. It seemed like it was a convertible car.
Well, notice his front wheels are off the ground. He's not
Yeah,
going.
but
He's about ready to flip it over backwards. Is that Carmack again?
John Carmack again, yeah. Oh, Rudy didn't have this one. His wheels are up too.
Yeah. Once you get it moving, you can't stop. Pop the clutch and hang on.
mm-hmm.
I think this is the same guy. And somebody whose screen name is DFER says looks like Bill Mayer's sled. Bill Mayer's sled, not the one driving.
Well, I thought that might have been Bill Maher's sled.
Yeah, the one that owned the sled.
Yeah, pretty famous sled.
Yeah, apparently.
There he is.
Who's that, Mike?
That's Herschel Ward's.
Oh, I don't have a name on this one.
That's a Camargo guy. I can't think of his name right now. Oh, that's
This Walter Douglas County.
is that Cleveland?
No, I don't. This girl could be from out of town.
Yeah, it could be. I think I may have a name for her later. I don't have any comments on that particular picture.
Yeah, there's the city council in Newman.
Eric Alexander says it's John Wayne Gacy.
Well,
It kind of looks like it. The clown.
Yeah, the clown.
well, he got his start.
Let people know we're joking since John Wayne Gacy was a famous
Mass murder.
serial killer who dressed as a clown.
He's also an artist. Give him his due.
He was. He did. He was an artist. That's right.
His scroll space was full of people.
That's little Mr. and Mrs. Miss Newman.
I That's a nice El Camino.
Yeah.
Another shot of the same. I thought somebody might know who these kids are. We don't discriminate when we have other towns in the county in our pictures. We leave them in.
Well,
That's
it is the Douglas County Chronicle.
It is.
outside the old Newman High School.
Yep.
So these are all Newman Parade and Festival pictures.
Got some old cars.
Yeah. Is that a Model A or T?
Well, I don't know.
Is that an A or T?
I'm not sure, Mike. It looks like that. Was that a pickup?
Mm-hmm.
You could buy Henry Ford said you could buy our car in any color you want as long as it's black.
It's black. There's a Corvette. Is that a Stingray?
Is that a
Kind of looks like it.
yeah. Is that your hearse over there?
It's not my hearse. It looks like station wagon. Does look like a hearse, doesn't it?
Hey, close in on that picture a little bit closer, would you please?
On which one?
No, go back to the left over there. See those three guys standing over there?
Yeah.
That
Yes.
one with his back to you, it looks like, I don't know, kind of looks like Shelton Allen to me.
Yeah, the guy with the hat looks like Jan Ray, my old deputy.
So maybe that guy with his back is Gene Miller.
Could be Gene. Jan ran for sheriff back around then, 82 against Chuck Talbot. Could be Jan politicking.
Could be. Another one of the Miss Moultrie Douglas.
Well, that's Steve Allen and
Don Hole.
Don Hole, Duff and Drew's dad. What was the name of their band? The Miscellaneous Two or something?
Yeah, I think so. They were really wonderful
Very
musicians.
talented. John Hole could
Don
play.
Hole could do anything.
Yeah, and Steve is pretty talented too. Miscellaneous Two or something.
Steve's sister just passed away. I'm sorry to see that.
I saw that in the paper. Yeah.
I have to tell Duff that his dad's on here.
What's that?
I have to tell Duff that his dad's on here.
Yeah. Well, that of course is
Yeah, he worked at the hospital.
I dated his daughter. I went in for 5 seconds and I left.
Carl
Adelini.
Adelini.
I went in to have a date and he pulled that snake out and I said bye bye. Carl was a nice guy.
He had a son close to my age. Had a daughter, Juna.
Juno was working at the IGA for a while, not out at the new Kirby's, but at the old one.
Wasn't Bill is his surviving wife with
Married Leon.
Leon Kenny, your classmate?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't his son's name Carl as well?
I believe so.
Carl was a maintenance guy at the courthouse for years.
He used to be at the hospital too, I thought.
Hospital. He's a hardworking guy. I think Orville Reinhardt took over for him.
A lot of pictures of the snakes.
There's
and Nate.
There's his wife. Yeah. There, Beth, you want to see these snakes that Carl Adelini had? Oh, okay. I won't put you on. You just look at them.
Oh, God.
You know, those things get in your
I
undershirt.
cannot believe that. I didn't know they. I seem to remember back when, but I never saw them. Goodness gracious!
Look like Burmese pythons. If those things get in your underpants, you got a problem.
They'll eat you alive.
They look like boa constrictors.
I think they're Burmese pythons.
Goodness,
I don't know.
you know those things would eat a lot during the day, wouldn't they?
Well,
They
you notice all their pets are missing.
Yeah.
You don't see any dogs or cats. Warren Smith, good old Warren with his brother behind him.
Yeah.
That's the mayor's wife,
Yeah. Amy.
Amy. They loved horses. Amy loved horses. Warren and what was his brother's name?
John.
John Smith. Yeah.
Who's the other girl?
You know, it's Amy graduated in what, 74, 75?
About the same time as the mayor, 75, something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who that is.
They were my neighbors growing up.
Warren graduated in 1941, played football with Bill Huber and my Uncle Judd McGuire. Nice guy. Warren's always in a good mood.
Another picture of it.
John Smith was the other.
Yeah, that's what David said, John. Well, that girl in the back looks like Terry Fettick, but I don't know.
I don't know either. I think might be Ben Franklin's store.
Does anybody know who the girl with Amy was?
Nobody commented. Looked like pajama day at downtown.
Oh, that's Kent McGillen.
Who's he putting the hickey do on?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Hey, you get in a lot of trouble with that.
You would today.
That's not Anna.
No.
Oh, here's this must be the ABC golf tournament, and you got second from left is Lyle Johns, Ronnie Wynn, not sure, Mike Rogers, Dale Best,
Tom Stevenson,
and then Shoemaker, Jewel Shoemaker.
Yeah.
So who's the first guy, and who's the guy holding up his a cup?
Well, let's see.
He looks familiar.
Jennifer Bender says second from right, she thinks is Arlen Kimball.
Yeah, you're right. It's Arlen Kimball, not Tom Stevenson.
I dated his daughter in school.
Yeah.
Let's see. Katrina, I think you got all these. Lyle Johns, Mike Rogers, Dale Best. Jewel Shoemaker on right end.
Yes, Jules.
Yeah, Mike said that. Oh, Kimball, Arlen Kimball, his wife taught school for us, and I had his boy David. And there was a daughter you said in your class. I remember.
No, she was a little younger than me.
Initially, when I looked at that big fellow like that, I thought it was Tom. I think Arlen worked for the CIPS.
Right.
She was maybe a year younger, and then she had two brothers.
Who's on the far left there, Bill?
Well, I just can't figure it out. It looks kind of familiar.
Yeah.
Kimball's son David, I don't know if he's retired yet, was taught math over at Chatham.
I was state's attorney one time, right about this. I was state's attorney from 76 to 82. And ABC invited me to one of their big golf tournaments. And then they met out at Don Moody's shed for chili and art movies.
I heard about that.
Yeah. And so I think I won that day. And so they had me go up there and asked me what I thought of their club. And I said, you guys are a bunch of cheating liars, pornography addicted people. He said, you're my kind of people. And they gave me a standing ovation.
Mike, could we say this guy that won the roll of toilet paper is?
Well, I just think he's happy that he's got some, but I don't know who that is. Hey, I got a question. Well, that's Shuey or Teeters, Helen Teeters' daughter.
That's who I thought it looked like too, but I would have thought
Lisa McAllister.
Lisa McAllister.
Yeah, that's who I thought it looked like, but I thought maybe she was too young for that to be her. She's not that much older than I am, but it looks just like her, so maybe it is.
It does look just
And the
like
girl behind her, I thought looked like a shoemaker girl, but
Can't tell.
kind of hard to tell.
Hey, Bill, I was looking through my high school annual. I was thinking about an article on nicknames, and Ronnie Wynn's nickname in high school, guess what it was? I've never heard this before.
Gosh, I have no idea.
Stuff.
Say what?
Stuff. STUF.
Stuff.
That covers a pretty broad range of things.
Yeah, it does.
What kind of stuff?
I don't remember him ever being called anything.
Yeah. Ronnie Dick was hump.
Huh.
Okay, there we go. Ben Franklin. And I don't know who the girls are. Well, we should know that one.
Well, that's Kathy Jolly on the far left.
Who's
I
on the
believe.
who's on the far right?
I don't know. The one in the middle is Kelly Cronin. Cronin,
Mm-hmm.
how you pronounce it? And
Did anyone get Kathy Jolly?
yes, Luann Hoey did, and Kent McGillan. But I don't have the other woman's name.
Well, she's covering herself up after that last shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, there's Chez Clarence, the French restaurant downtown.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And there's Bertie
yeah. Birdie's there, and
and Miss Willison, who wound up working at she's second from right. She
she,
went to work at the pharmacy for years when Freddie.
yeah, she worked there at the pharmacy. I remember her.
And I should know the other two, but I don't.
Well, it's funny because a couple of people referred to Bertie, and then Karen Humes Donald says, "No, it's Bertie, short for Alberta. She's my mom." I always thought it was Bertie too.
Well, it's gone into folklore. It's legend now.
Yeah,
And legend contradicts the facts. You go with the legend.
Yeah,
that's right.
I remember. I thought it was Bertie too, but maybe that's just how sounds when somebody pronounces it.
Yeah, and to say Berta, it sounds like you're Swedish or something. Berta? Bertie's more American.
So this was go to work day in your
Pajama day, it
white
looks like.
clothes. Clarence got on his socks.
Jay Clarence. Is that his boy?
Must be CJ.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Well, that was a little different era, I think. You had some late 70s up into the mid 80s, I think.
I knew you'd get them though.
Well,
Well,
Bill,
we got some.
They're all in this envelope.
I thought he was giving us some money there for winning.
Yeah, it's a chocolate bar.
So you just grab one envelope out? Is that how you do it each week?
I just grab an envelope out and I don't know what's in it, and I pull out the negatives and
Go to
start
10.
taking pictures of them.
Well, there's some good shots there.
And
I
it is
enjoyed
what
it.
it is. Trying to get through all of them. There was some kind of a system. There's a number 2-2163 or 61, I can't tell, which I think corresponded to a notebook that would have that number catalog and tell you what was in the envelope. But the envelopes and the notebook got separated at some point.
Hence, we have more fun guessing.
We have more fun guessing because we don't know what they are. I don't know why they didn't just write the date on the envelope.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That was back in the day of negatives,
Mhm.
That was
Yeah.
that was expensive photography back in those days.
Yeah.
What do you do now, David, when you fill up a little disc, 254 photos or 500 photos. Do you put that somewhere and catalog that? What do you do with those chips?
I download them or upload them, I guess, to my computer. And since they're electronic, where I used to take 2 or 3 pictures at an event, I may take 300 at an event.
All right. Bang, 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 bang.
We don't need 300 pictures. So eventually some of them just get deleted. They get deleted off the disk because I reuse the disk. And this disk will probably hold 1,000 pictures or more.
Yeah, when I would just fill it up and get another disc. They didn't cost that much, I don't think.
Well, but then you got all kinds of discs laying around and
Yeah, that's
got
why
to catalog them. And no, I erase the disk and start over on. So I've used this disk for 10 years now.
wow. And it never degrades. It never.
Well, I mean, theoretically it could, but no, it's still a good disk. And
I mean, the pixels stay the same.
right. So I upload them to my computer and eventually I go through and just delete ones that I know we'll never use again. Um, but right now I've got 52,000, almost 53,000 images on my computer from that disk.
You have among those 52,000, are there any of them showing Bill inside a church?
No.
Okay. Is Bill still asleep? Are you
Yeah,
asleep?
he fell asleep.
Yeah,
I thought
resting my eyes.
I thought I was the one with the Gahooties.
I'm gonna go get a haircut.
It doesn't look that bad.
Yeah.
New barber shop in town,
Where's that at, Bill?
down on the highway.
Is it just like the one at the hospital?
I don't know. They say it's a fellow that's doing it, and the one at Jarman is good. Where I've gone a couple of times, but they say it's a regular barber. You know, the
Well,
old style barber.
I think I saw his pricing for seniors. It was $15 or something.
Really, for a senior?
Well, if you don't have any hair, it's just what they call a sidewalls.
Sidewalls.
Yeah. I thought they had a special for seniors. It was really low, 20, 25, 15. I don't know. It sounded
My
pretty good.
goodness, may have to check it out. Who knows? Oh.
Still got your hair.
I've got some.
Yeah.
It's thinning.
Did Monk have a head full of hair at the end?
No, not at the end. It was thinning badly for him
Okay.
and for me too.
Well, we can't. Hair today, gone tomorrow.
think-
Hair today, gone tomorrow.
I think a guy's hair is, I think, supposed to be, you get your hair more from your mother or from your father's genes.
Well, my mother's dad was bald, and my dad was kind of bald. I think I got it from my mother's side.
I think you did.
My
Bud was
paternal,
bald.
my dad's dad had white hair, but he had a full head of hair.
Yeah. Well, the trouble with no hair is your head gets cold. 80% of your heat in your body goes out the top through the chimney,
Mhm.
and my head gets cold all the time. So I wear a hat just to keep the
Oh
heat,
yeah.
keep the heat in.
Well, you gotta keep all that brain power inside there. You don't want to.
Yeah, it's churning. It's churning.
Well, so you keep your head warm and you look cool at the same time.
Well, I definitely look a little younger with a hat than with the hat not off.
Yeah.
My mother was at the nursing home one time, and she was disoriented about everything. And she said, "How old are you?" And I said, "How old do you think I am?" She looked at me and says, 22. I take my hat off and she screams. She goes, "Oh God, put it back on." So I put it back on. About
I
killed
think
her.
I look a
About-
little younger with a hat without my hat because I put a hat on, all you see is the white.
Mm.
Yeah. I about killed her. About like J.D. Vance and the Pope, you know. Yeah, I'm very careful about who I take my hat off to. If you're if you think of me as a young kid, I've got to keep my hat on. Now, Bill, does your head get cold in the house sometimes or outside? Or you just like hats?
Oh yeah, outside it does. Outside. Inside, no, not so much. Not so much.
By the way, you got to give credit to Andrea for fixing your computer today. Show her what she did.
That's it.
That was across your camera for some reason. It was across your camera. And
So
see, whenever you have what's called a sticker over your camera lens, that creates what's called problems.
Mhm.
And then you really want to remove the
Yeah.
impediment. The image comes through the camera.
So Mike, how many of your books have sold so far?
I think I'm 100 or so.
That's pretty good.
Well, for not being very readable, it is, but I think people bought it thinking it was readable.
Oh,
So I probably need to write a bridge simple version, 50 pages or 100
that's
pages.
the kind of book people want to have on their shelf, makes them look smarter.
Well, it's kind of book you want to have in bed when you can't sleep.
Yeah.
You pull it up and read about 2 pages and you're gone.
I bet you're not sleeping well with this cold.
I cough all night long I cough. And the funny thing is you're sitting there coughing solid. You go to, let's say it's midnight or 1 o'clock and you're coughing like crazy, taking crap. And you swear you haven't got a minute's sleep and all of a sudden it's 5 o'clock. So how did you go from 1 to 5? Because you're hacking all the time. Yeah, there's nothing worse. Well, there is a lot of things worse, but I always hate a cold when it's 81 degrees out and sunny.
Mm.
That's just a wasted day.
So far, between all my books, I've sold 189 books.
You're doing well.
And 97 of those are my novel.
David, I talked to Caldwell. Caldwell's written 8 books, and he's got a new one out right now. If I buy a stand and put it somewhere for Tuscola authors, he's got 8 books. He'll send me 3 copies of 8 books.
Okay.
And you've got copies.
Yeah,
But I looked into the stands. Hell, the stands are $200, these little metal stands.
well, can we come up with a different stand on our own?
Well, we should have hit those when these businesses closed. We should have ran in and got them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, couldn't
I
we?
was going to say, I don't know if the school would have any. They could possibly have something you could use.
Well, some of them are just, a little 45-degree.
Yeah.
And some of them are circular like they have down at Yoder's Cafe in Arthur. Or they're in slots as you turn the turn wheel.
Well,
I think
Surely we can find something that would work for you.
I think the Cody Shelmadine told me they would sell our books at the coffee place, and I rent 2 places for my antiques, so there's places we can put these things.
Let's see, the antique store will take a cut.
Yeah, I think they're 10%, and we probably got to pay the standoff, so they're 10%. Probably 20% would pay off the store. I don't know what the coffee place would want, but we got to amortize the stand. But
Because there's
we got Gallagher's got a couple books. We got Joe with about 8 books. We got you with 4 books?
I've got 3 books out. I've got a 4th one ready to go.
I probably could call over to Maureen Deaver and send me some of Phil's works.
You got to be a little careful. It's like in the past 2 weeks, I've sold 118 books, and my royalty income from that is $65.33. So when you go to put money into marketing or give the store a cut, it's like, there's no money here.
Well, the difference is if you buy 20 of your books, your cost is like $7 or $8.
Right.
And you sell them on your own for $19.98, and then you could pay 20%. You're still making, $7. You make more if you sell them on your own.
Make a little bit. It's true that Amazon makes more money off my book than I make.
Right. The key is to sell them by yourself. Caldwell was out and Colorado, he told me his new book, he went to about 5 places. He went to libraries, he went to restaurants, he gave talks in his new book. And so if you can peddle your books at these kind of places, you're actually making a little bit of
Yeah,
money.
I just don't have time to work it like
Oh,
that.
it's not worth it.
It's like I got an email from the Texas Press Association saying, "Well, you should come to our convention and set up a booth and sell your book at
Yeah,
a booth." And I said, "Well, first of all your the book is called How to Publish a Newspaper. All of your members are already publishing newspapers.
right.
They're not going to buy a book on how to publish a newspaper. And besides, if I sold 10 books, so I might make $20. What's it cost to fly to Texas and pay for, you know?"
Bill, you still interested in starting a paper, you and I?
I think we could do it.
Maybe have Andrea and Becky kind of run the guts of it. You and I just write the columns.
That might be it. They might have to do the technical part.
Well, good luck to you.
Oh, we were thinking maybe you could head the whole thing.
You don't want to be involved?
I owned my own newspaper for 7 or 8 years.
We miss your old Tuscola paper, Dave.
I took a loss on my taxes 7 out of the 8 years.
Well, Bill and I'd throw in a couple $100 there.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm not too worried about competition, because the old joke, a lot of talk is my stepdaughter, her newspaper just went to a nonprofit. And I'm thinking, the old joke is, how do you start a nonprofit newspaper? Well, you start a for-profit newspaper and you wait.
Right. Right. You can always follow Higgins's advice on his business. He said he loses money on every sale, but he makes up for it in volume.
Well, here's the thing, on subscriptions, the farther you mail the paper, the more it costs to mail it. And the postal delivery nationwide for newspapers is terrible. It may take 2 weeks for you to get your newspaper, sometimes as long as 4 weeks. So that doesn't help us. But I figured up the cost of printing and postage a newspaper that goes to somebody in Florida costs us $98 a year. And they're paying what, 50, $60 a year for that
The
subscription?
subscription.
We're losing.
You're losing money.
You're into the Higgins philosophy.
Yeah, we're losing money on every subscription we mail.
Joe was telling me that the cost to mail a book is skyrocketed. He said it used to be like $5,
Yeah.
$7 or $8. I don't know what's happened to the post office, but I subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. I look forward to getting it every day, and it's for the last month I get the 1 day late, and then like today I didn't get any paper at all.
Right.
So tomorrow I may get 3 papers. I may get the 2 day late, the 1 day late, and the current. I don't know.
What's the subscription cost to the Wall Street Journal?
That's about
$300, huh?
$400.
$400.
But I really I spend hours reading it. I really like it. It's worth it. But I guess I could be forced online, but their online stuff doesn't cover everything. I mean, their paper front to back, I can still pick one up and read some other section,
We have an in-county rate and an out-of-county rate because it costs more to mail out of the county.
Yeah.
But I think we should have an in-county rate, an in-state rate, and an out-of-state rate. Because the ones that go out of state are they cost, and the alternative is, if you don't want to pay that, for $40, you can buy the online subscription and you'll have it the day it comes out.
Well, you can't keep losing money. You can't bleed cash.
No, I mean, you theoretically, you make it up with the advertising. But when you think about, we've got, just for our paper, we've got 2 buildings. We've got one in Arthur and one in Tuscola. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full-time people. You're paying salaries, you're paying taxes, you're paying insurance.
Well, David, you know that when you ran the Tuscola paper, you ran it out of your trunk of your car.
Well, yeah, I ran it out from my house. I didn't have to buy a building. You know, because when you have a building, you've got utilities, you've got internet, you've got taxes, insurance, mortgage.
There's no way brick and mortar can compete with the internet. No way.
You
And
know,
You write off the hearse. You had to use the hearse to deliver
write
paper.
off mileage. And that's the big advantage is that you survive on tax benefits and cash flow.
Yeah.
As long as there's enough cash coming in to pay the bills, you know, we'd write off $30,000 a year in mileage because one of our papers was in Lebanon and I would drive to Lebanon every week and you could write off 55 cents a mile. So I'd end up writing off $30,000 in mileage. Well, it didn't cost me 30,000 miles to drive it. So that's a tax benefit. So you know, and you could write off half of your meals and entertainment. So if we went out to dinner or we went to the movies, we'd keep our receipt. We could write half of that off our taxes. So that's why you know you don't live on a salary because there is none. I never took a salary.
Yeah.
You live on the tax benefits and the cash flow.
They got rid of the 2 martini lunch, though.
Did they?
Yeah.
I never.
That's why Bill and I get out of the newspaper business.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. I tell you what, in my legal career, I advised tons of businesses, you know, and you just can't beat. You really can't beat today getting a job with the government, and you get benefits like vacations, retirement, and medical. Bill and I remember back when we were young sports, grade school and stuff. The good jobs were private. The guys who had their private business were the rich guys in town.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And if you couldn't find a job, you'd go to work for the post office or be a police officer or something. I mean, that was a street worker.
Yeah.
And it's totally flipped when I left the city. When I think I was city attorney 20 years ago, and we had an opening for superintendent of the parks to be in charge of maintenance and cutting grass. We had 88 applications. And I talked to one of them. One of them had his own landscaping business, very, very big, successful. And all he talked about was the benefits alone. The free medical and the retirement is worth, you know, $20,000, $30,000. Salary's gravy. So the best jobs today are service, government, or large corporations.
You know what's funny? Don't you remember when the post office, though, was virtually controlled by the old establishment? Now they're advertising for help up there.
Well, I think I was talking to our old pro said it. They were trying to fill Scotty said they were trying to fill a position out there. It takes about 6 months. It goes through so many layers and stuff, but it's pretty bureaucratic. I think Trump wants to take it private, you know.
Yeah, I heard that.
I don't know what it's going to be like, but I don't know if people, I still mail my bills in. Everybody wants me to pay over, you know, just have an automatic deduction. And
Me too.
I like seeing the bill and
Yeah.
Seeing where my money's going. I fill out a checkbook to show where my money's going. And I'm not 100% trustworthy of the digital world.
Well, I think
You suppose they'll try to clone us like they did these wolves?
Oh, what do you mean? They've already done it. Look at Dave. Dave, for example, is a mechanoid android.
right.
Oh, Elon Musk is definitely a robot. He's a replicant. Yeah, they were talking about these jobs, all these jobs. Who was it? Who's Trump's?
Oh, yeah.
Ludnick said, Americans are going to be able to put these tiny screws in iPhones.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out nobody wants to do that in America.
No.
Well, they wouldn't do it anyway. It'd all be automated.
Well, their wages are so high. They don't understand wages. And so what they all are going to do, they're going to automate. They're going to be robots and AI. There'll be a few humans overseeing it. There's just not going to be that many jobs when they reshore manufacturing. In fact, I don't think they should reshore. We don't want to make tennis shoes. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal where Nike's had robots trying to make tennis shoes. They can't do it because the fabric stretches and stuff, and they don't know how to glue the bottom. They've just spent years trying to get a robot to put a shoe together, and you just
a guy I know took a trip to China years ago, and he came back and he said they visited a factory and there's kids working in the factory and they're putting beads on a string or doing
Oh.
assembling something. If they have to go to the bathroom, they run to the bathroom and they run back because they're paid by their production. They're not paid by the hour. So they can't afford to spend the time to leisurely stroll to the bathroom.
Oh.
But the thing for me is, and I'm more of a globalist than a lot of people, is that I believe that a rising tide raises all ships. So when you have those jobs overseas, you're improving their lives because they need the jobs and they're at a much lower wage, but you're also improving our lives. That means we can all afford an iPhone, or many of us can afford an iPhone or other comforts of life that we have. And some of those things, iPhones these days are what, $900,000, and if we made them here, they'd be 3,500.
Yeah,
And so only the people who have a lot of money could afford to buy them.
I agree with you. I'm a free trader, a globalist, and the theory after World War II was it would help all the economies around the world to get built up. The complaint is we've now reached that point, and America has been getting short shifted. It's time to rebalance it. But America still consumes. It's stayed pretty steady over 25 years. We still consume 25% of the world GDP, even though we're only 3% of the world's population. So we are a very wealthy, spoiled nation.
Well,
And
we also have very low unemployment.
yeah, yes, and so the trade deficit has nothing to do with our federal debt and deficit. That's just we spend too much money. We spend more money than we take in taxes. That's what that is. So I don't think the trade deficit is all bad. If you read a lot of economists, they'll point out the good points. But
But I do think that that we need to.
I think let me add one. I think it's good for America that all the nations in the world are doing okay.
Right.
Because when they don't do okay, you're going to get revolution, riots, you're going to get people trying to flood into America like we've had. So it is good for Mexico to flourish and South America and the Central America to flourish. So people want to stay in their nations.
Yeah.
We want, but David, you're right. Our labor with unions and stuff, we just can't. The president of Taiwan Superconductor, which makes 90% of the fab, they do the fab basic chip for NVIDIA and all the super chips. They're building a plant they built a plant in Arizona, and the president said it costs them 2 to 3 times more to build their chips in America because labor unions, regulations, and the work ethic. He said in Taiwan, you do just what you said. People come to, if you need to work till midnight, you work till midnight. You work Saturday and Sunday, you run. He said it's a different work ethic. And so he was talking about America just can't match the world in productivity. So yeah, if you do reshore all the industries like the president talked about doing, you're going to wind up with very much more expensive products.
Yeah, it's of course I certainly am more pro-union in that
You
um,
want
there are a lot of jobs, use my wife as an example, as a teacher teaching kindergarten. After 30 years, she was pretty high up
Okay.
on the salary list. Well, there are people within the school administration and school board who don't want to pay a kindergarten teacher $60,000-$70,000 a year. And if you didn't have that union protection, they'd be out.
Well, we were rescued by USI and the union. My dad made a good wage and got benefits, so I understand the unions. I would say when it gets too top heavy, when the janitors in New York City and Chicago run the schools and make 150, 200,000 a year and can shut them down if they get mad and not clean them. I mean,
Yeah, well, there were some.
when longshoremen who make over 200,000 a year, not counting bonus and overtime, when they can shut down our ports and ruin our economy, that's just too much power.
Well, there was certainly a time, and it still happens to some degree, that where some unions become more about the union than they do about the workers.
And they want to keep
Uh,
people out. They want to
right.
keep themselves and keep everybody out.
But to me, part of that is the negotiating between the union and the company. The company needs to be able to say, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I know. You need to have a balance, moderation. People need to look at the big picture. Yeah,
Well, here's a big picture. Former Illinois football player has played 4 years in a pro, and he gets a new contract for 86 million for I forget how many years, and he's a defensive back. And I'm thinking, gee, Chris.
oh, that's what's the name from Seattle. That's probably Witherspoon.
That's
You read
crazy.
about the Tennessee quarterback.
No.
His high school senior year, Tennessee offered him $8 million over 4 years, $2 million a year. He came. He's in his senior year, and he did not report for training camp this spring. He's holding out for $4 million for his final year. He wants.
It's a good idea.
Even though he had a deal, even got a contract, he wants $4 million. Tennessee said, "Adios." They cut him. They're not going to put up with it.
Good
Oh,
for
good
them.
for them.
I've got to head out here. We've got a little trip planned, I think.
Yeah, I gotta go get a haircut.
Oh, well.
Well, I got to
You
stay home.
look
I got
good.
to stay home and be sick and cough.
Yeah, you better. And you know what? I do have a suggestion. Tell Becky too. Get out there in the sunshine. Get a little vitamin D.
Got a
Okay,
little vitamin D.
that'll do it.
Well, we're taking vitamin D right now.
Well, it's better to get it from the sun than from a supplement.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's more natural.
Yes, it is
A
natural.
lot of it, when you take a supplement, a lot of it flushes out of your system.
Okay, we're gonna get in the car and drive around with the windows down and see what happens.
Would you like to know where I got my medical degree?
Yeah. University of Mars.
Yeah.
Sit on your patio, Mike.
All right. Bill and I are in agreement. Let's get out and get some sun.
Well, that's 2 against 1.
Yep.
I fold.
Okay.
I can't
Hey,
All right.
I can't
have a
fight
good
both.
day.
Thanks to
Enjoyed
Elite
it.
Builders. Elite Builders are our sponsor this week. And thanks for joining in and appreciate you. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.